Alright guys, Flula coming to you with another video. Shout out to the whole LDBC. So by the looks of it, it looks like they're gonna order a Canelo Derevyanchenko purse bid because the IBF, they really don't play, when it comes to these Mandos and things like that. They kind of like press the line when it comes to that. So, I don't know what Canelo's going to do, in terms of that, because of the simple fact that, from what I've read on it, what I've read on the particular issue, basically, although they say that Canelo, that Andre is a possible opponent for September, he's not going to be an opponent for September. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Canelo ain't fighting no Andre in September. There was an interview with Andre and he said, he feels Charlo wouldn't really do anything for upward mobility in his career, but at the end of the day he has a belt, so he might as well fight him anyway, and I said it before, I'll say it again, there's a history there's bad blood there, and the only way to solve that bad blood is just to go get that fade. That's my whole point. Now, another thing I want to say basically is that with the Canelo situation, what I read in this, I think it was like Fight Sports TV or something like that. It was one of these publications. But what I read with Canelo is that, he was offered, they were willing to make a fight with him and Kovalev on one condition. They were prepared to pay Anthony Yarde step-aside money, and then the winner of that melee would have to fight Anthony Yarde. That's what they said that they wanted to do. Although Tunde Ajayi is kind of like the architect of the Anthony Yarde situation, Frank Warren is still Yarde's promoter. So he made that offer out that, go ahead and fight Kovalev, but we want the winner of that fight. And I think that could be possibly negotiated, you know what I mean? Another thing too is that, I think that's the reason why that fight has been delayed as such. This Anthony Yarde fight with Kovalev, it should have been made by now, really and truly. I don't know why it's taking so long, It shouldn't take that long to make that fight. Now, I kind of see that as the most likely scenario happening at this point in time, because the window is getting shorter and shorter for Canelo to do something, but there's another issue too. There's one other issue that comes to play. Canelo, basically, it's kind of like at a standoff with the zone, from what I hear. I guess you can say, because of that big DAZN contract, they expect him to, meet certain criteria with that contract. So what's happening now is DAZN is pushing for Canelo to fight Triple G again. That's what they're ultimately pushing for. Or I think because they're in the same house, they're kind of pushing for that Jaime Munguia fight, which he would probably take. But they're also keeping Demetrius Andrade in the mix, looking, I guess, peeking, I guess you can say, peeking inside, you know, the window. So, you know, what's happening is that, you know, Canelo is saying, nah, I don't want to fight Triple G. You know, I think personally that Canelo is really set on that Kovalev fight. But the thing is that, you know, if he does take that Kovalev fight, they're definitely going to strip him of that IBF. And then what will happen is Triple G will fight Derevyanchenko for the vacant IBF. But I don't think Triple G would take that fight either, because of the simple fact Derevyanchenko got in that ass when he was an amateur, you know, from the reports I heard, you know. So I don't think Triple G would fancy dancing with him again, although this is the pros. You know, they call Derevyanchenko the technician for a reason. You know, Triple G wouldn't be able to, like, really hang with that dude. As I said, really what it takes to beat Triple G is you just have to have some good footwork, and you have to just maintain your stamina and just maintain your distance with him. If you do that, you beat Triple G, and you actually beat him quite easily. You know, Triple G is a one-dimensional fighter who only comes to seek and destroy, basically. You know, I mean, the only thing he can really do on the back foot is jab. Like, that's pretty much it. That's all he really got is a jab on the back foot. And we saw that in the second Canelo fight. You know, so, I mean, it is what it is. So I don't know what's going to happen. But, you know, I'll have to check the IBF rankings to see who's next in line, because I don't think Triple G is going to fight Derevyanchenko. So, you know, whoever's next up in the IBF rankings, that could be pretty good, because what it can mean is that Derevyanchenko fights that dude. Whoever wins that, you know, then there's an opportunity for a unification between the belt holders at middleweight. You know what I mean? But you know what would be the messed up thing about that whole situation is if Canelo decides that, you know, if the next in line to Derevyanchenko is like an easy touch-up, and let's just say he beats Derevyanchenko, Canelo may want to fight for that. Then he'll fight for the belt again, because we know how Canelo be doing switcheroos and stuff like that. So this is like the one thing I really think's going to pan out is that Canelo's going to fight Kovalev, you know, or he's going to fight Munguia. And that IBF belt is going to get stripped from him. You know, that's why I really think. I mean, at the end of the day, while Canelo would, I would kind of favor Canelo slightly to win against Derevyanchenko, I believe that Derevyanchenko would give him the kind of problems that he doesn't want, due to the simple fact that we got to maintain and remember that he's a technical fighter. You know what I mean? The thing is about certain systems of boxing is they put technique over everything, you know. And so when you have these Eastern Europeans, like especially the Ukrainians, in which Derevyanchenko is from, they put technique over a lot of other things, you know. So with that being said, when you have a technical fighter, he gives people issues. You know, the thing is, and I'm just keeping it like real funky, is that with the Mexican school of boxing, there's very few technically established boxers in Mexico from that school. Most of them are come forward guys who look to throw series of punches to try to get you out of there. You know, Canelo is probably one of the only ones who, like, boxes, basically, and tries to incorporate technique, you know. But again, I say that technique is not just about upper body movement. It's about your feet as well. And since his feet are cement blocks, that's open season for a dude who can move, stay on the inside, get in and get out. Like, that's food for someone like that, you know. So this is why I'm saying that, like, you know, with that being said, you know, Canelo will have a hard time with dude, you know. And so I don't think he wants to have a hard time with guy, you know. I'll say it before, I'll say it again. He's looking for easy pickings at this point in time, you know. I mean, you have to look at the simple fact that why isn't he looking at any of the other 175 pounders? Why isn't he looking at any of the other, like, 168 pounders who hold belts? Like, why isn't he looking at, like, a Uskasagi? Why isn't he looking at a Caleb Plant? Why isn't he looking at a Benavidez? Why isn't he looking at an Anthony Durrell? Why isn't he looking at a Bivol? Why isn't he looking at a Vostich? Why isn't he looking at those dudes? He's picking the weakest link because he knows the weakest link is vulnerable, you know. But that's just where we are with that, you know. I really doubt if Triple G is going to fight Derevyanchenko. And I really doubt that if Tom Loeffler will let him fight Derevyanchenko. So we have to just wait and see what happens. You know, let's see how this thing pans out. The window is getting shorter, but we just got to wait and see, man. Leave your thoughts and leave your comments, man. Fuller signing out. Enjoy.